Hello and welcome to the Switchrpg podcast. I am one of your hosts, Gio, and I'm joined again by just Johnny. What's going on, Johnny?
Everything's going on.
Everything and nothing all at the same time, right? Is that what they say? I don't know. If this is your first time listening, this is the show from Switchrpg.com, where we bring you the latest in the world of RPGs on the Nintendo Switch. We got a lot of news up ahead, and if you missed it, go back to episode previous to this. I think that's episode 66. We have kind of we tried something a little different where we discussed a lot of the main topics, or one of the main topic that we were neglecting to get to for a while. So get to that. There's a lot of RPG discussion there. This episode is going to be mostly, for the most part anyways, some news and our opinions about it. But first, don't forget to visit our Discord, discord.switchrpg.com, at Twitter, SwitchRPG, and also buy a few things at the merch. It helps us out. What are you playing, Johnny?
Same old. Radiant Historia, Luigi's Mansion 3, and RFL. RFL. I have some.
Okay.
I have some problems with RFL.
What's going on with RFL? I'm gonna sit back here.
I actually got to the point where I got into another dungeon in RFL, fairly deep into the game, which, by the way, I got the mage lady as a party member, and oh my goodness, she is overpowered. Like, the game is easy mode now with her. However, the problem is with the dungeon, there's like this weird obtuse thing that is not obvious as to what I need to do in order to progress. I solved all the puzzles. I had to light a bunch of torches. There was a boss fight. I killed the boss, and then there's this door inside this vampire whatever place, and it won't open because I need to do something, but I don't know what to do. And I searched the entire dungeon multiple times through. It's not even that big. Went through each and every room, trying to find something, going into random places, hidden, the A button, stuff like that. This is some of the worst stuff that I never want to experience when playing a game. I don't mind being challenged whatsoever. I love challenges. I hate obtuse stuff that becomes roadblocks, and the only way to progress is to Wikipedia, Google search your way through progressing. So
because you and I are old school, right? We try our hardest not to do any looking up information. At least that's the way I am. I try not to do any of that. Yeah, that's the way it used to be.
It's a problem if the game does that, right? That is bad game design in general when it does that. There are some elements of that in Dark Souls, the first one, and maybe a little bit with Demon Souls, although I think I was able to go through all of Demon Souls until I looked something up. But I do remember looking stuff up for Dark Souls, but I wasn't sure if that was for the sake of progressing or for the sake of
getting a particular weapon or NPC.
Max. But I definitely was looking up, doing a lot of research in Dark Souls. Definitely remember that. But with this game, it was already okay with me. I wasn't having an exceptionally good time, but I wasn't having a bad time with it. It was okay. So I was continuing to play it to see where it went, and it threw this at me, and that was more than enough for me to kind of just be I'm done with this game. It wasn't anything great. It wasn't bad. But then it did this, so I stopped playing it and I deleted it. So.
Oh boy, I mean, it could be something just so super simple that you're overlooking, and you just, I don't know.
It could, but the game was already middling anyway.
Okay.
And I still might recommend this for people that are jonesing for a traditional, RPG maker style game.
Yeah.
But because it is, somewhat well done, but this is going to be a quirky thing that is well implemented, and there could be future instances. So I would just advise people to if they play it, they're probably going to need to do Google searches in order to get to win, to complete the game. And if they don't like that, then they should stay away from it.
I mean, it sounds like you're so far into the game, might as well just keep going, no?
No, I'm only on, I think, chapter 2.
Huh.
Somewhere in chapter 2 for that.
And you quitting on it.
Well, that's like, I don't know, 5-6 hours into the game.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not. I'm definitely not like 2 hours in the game. I'm well past that. I don't know how many hours I've been playing it for, but probably close to like 5 or 6 hours playing the
Okay.
game. And it does this on.
And you're just terrible at puzzles, so you don't like the game. Okay.
It's
I mean, in all honesty, like you had mentioned, it is an RPG Maker game, so maybe just try. And I don't know this for a fact. But maybe just trying to design puzzles that are challenging in RPG Maker is kind of obtuse in itself.
Well, the funny part is, just prior to this point, there was 4 puzzles that they throw at you, and some of them are actually kind of cool. You go into 4 separate rooms. In each room, there is a puzzle they have to solve, like flipping the switch, flipping the switches. It gives you like a little riddle, and you have to push certain switches, leave certain switches activated, and others not. Another puzzle is like you have to like push these, I don't know, pillar, fountain, statue things, push them into a certain location. So nothing revolutionary whatsoever, but there were those. One that I kind of found interesting to a certain degree was there was actually like a puzzle testing your speed skills.
Really?
Yeah. It was like an obstacle course. You had to like go through, and you have to like navigate through the path as quickly. So it was like a dexterity-based puzzle,
Right.
obstacle course thing where they timed you, and you have to beat the timer. And if you beat the timer, you're successful. That was kind of cool. You typically don't see those in very traditional RPGs, and they put that in there. Those puzzles were fine. I solved all those. They give you the key. You take the key. You go to the door, the golden key to the door, and then as soon as you enter that room, you enter a boss fight. Completed the boss fight, and then there's another door, and it's locked, and that's where I'm stuck. So it's like it's after the puzzles, and it's just like this roadblock, and I don't even know if it's like, it could be a software like
Bug.
hard lock. Yeah, it could be a hard lock kind of thing. This has happened to me before. Metroid Other M had I ran into that bug that was like a coin flip. If you went through a sequence of door opening the wrong amount of times, or the wrong in the wrong order, then there will be a certain point in the game, and it's like halfway through the game or more.
So it's not like right away either.
No, it's deep into the game, and you cannot progress at all whatsoever. And because it was on the Wii, Nintendo couldn't patch it. So I had to restart the game, and I like quit it for a bit, and then I had to restart it in order to play it back from the beginning again, because
and hope you didn't get that sequence of door openings or whatever again.
Well, I knew the sequence I had to avoid, so it was basically backtracking. Like, you couldn't backtrack. If you backtracked, you were going to run into this issue. And it's just crazy because it's a Metroid game.
I was just gonna say it's a Metroid game. That's like the whole freaking idea, right?
Yeah.
Oh man.
So these things tend to crop up. These are like the worst of the worst kind of bugs.
Yeah.
You never want to release a game with this kind of bug, because it's a hard lock, or a soft lock, I think is what they call it.
Right, but I mean, if you're unaware of it, I mean, what are you gonna do? You gotta come across the bug and then kind of go from there, right?
Well, you can't. That's the thing. If it's this sort of hard software lock bug, that means there is a logic error in the code that completely prohibits you from being able to.
Yeah, right. It's even what a lot of speedrunners do, especially in more of the older games where they're doing certain things. All right, they're hitting, say for example in a Mario game, they're hitting a certain block and that writes a different code in the memory, and then they hit another block, writes a different number or 1 or 0 in the memory, and then they're able to just glitch through a bunch of things if they do whatever successfully.
Yep.
So, yeah, those are the old days. But yeah, I mean, as far as what you're dealing with, I mean, I just think you're bad at puzzles to begin with. So, so you just been playing. What? Huh? What?
Maybe. But that's what I've been playing. How about you?
Holy, I can't believe you asked me. And you only beat me to it because you have few other things on your list that you just didn't say. Anyway, this will be the last episode that I will mention Divinity Original Sin 2.
I haven't seen that yet.
I beat it. Nope, I'm done.
You're finally, so this was it. This is your last.
This is the last time I'll ever talk about it. So I did finish it up more the beginning of last week.
Yep.
And I'm doing the playthrough it on YouTube. So that is pretty much done. I just don't want to dump all the episodes on at people. I have like 16, maybe 15, 16 episodes that are left to just make public. They're just sitting there waiting. I just don't want to put a bunch of episodes onto people. So Divinity.
How does it hold up beating it? This is your second time.
Well, there are different endings that you can get. Yep. I've seen a few different ones in this run, mostly because I played as Fane in this one. I've never played as Fane in my other runs. So there were a few different things that I didn't get to see. And the way the endings are, they're really kind of basic. I wish that's my only gripe about this is the endings. When it kind of does almost like a flashback. Oh, and I'm just throwing this out there. This isn't what happened. Oh, Fane looks back at the damage he's done in the past, and now he can look forward and whatever baloney. And that's all it is. It's basically just a still image and a narrator talking about the ending.
So kind of like the Outer Worlds style ending.
Yeah. So really kind of just very, very basic, and it almost feels like what was that movie? I think it's Lord of the Rings? What's the third one?
Return of the King?
Return of the King, where it felt like that movie ended like 4 times. I don't know if you had that impression when you were watching that movie. Well,
they were tying up all the loose ends because that's the end of the entirety of the story.
I understand, and that's what happens in Divinity Original Sin 2. So they're tying up all these loose ends, and you think it's over, and it's not, and then here comes another. It's just the way it's segmented. It's kind of awkward or kind of strange.
They also do that in Fire Emblem, but they give you like the main ending,
right.
They go through the ending, and then afterwards, they'll do like little write-ups of all the other characters, kind of thing.
Right, and that's kind of what happens in Divinity as well. And any kind of side missions or kind of relatively deeper side missions that you accomplish, there's also kind of an ending for that as well. So it is a nice wrap up. I just wish I wanted more, or I would want more. But
what would you
like? I would
that because they're providing you like a summary of here's what you did and here's the results of that. They didn't go into like crazy detail. It sounds like
they didn't. But I would prefer almost like not a cinematic, but that would be asking quite a bit. But that's kind of what I want. Essentially, it's not a still image, but it's kind of like an animated image.
But surely they gave you some sort of cinematic,
right? For like the real main ending.
Exactly. So you get the main ending, and then for all the smaller plot points, right? They give you the synopsis. Like that sounds
pretty basic. To me. I don't know. It's just like the entirety of the game is just so massive and epic, and then I want more. I'm depressed. Okay, all right. This is the last time I'm gonna play it for a long time. Leave me alone.
So you still love it as much as you did.
Of course, yeah. And I'm sure if I played it again, honestly, I could play it. Now, obviously, the game mechanic is essentially the same. It's still a turn-based strategy RPG, but I can play as totally different characters, and that kind of changes the gameplay, in my opinion.
Yeah,
and it changes the whole way you play the game.
That game, it's solid. To me, that game So it's not about the ending. It's about the experience.
No, and that's it. That's what I mean though. Like the whole experience leading up to the ending, and even kind of the last act, it felt a bit rushed. But don't get me wrong, it's still awesome. It just it didn't feel like the previous or prior acts.
There's actually very few, and this might be a good talking point for a future main topic thing. There are very few games that actually have good endings, like well done endings.
Right.
They're not bad games. It's just they either have bad or lackluster endings.
Right, and but that's where having good writers comes in as well. There is another. I actually going on to the next game I played, and I beat it. Darksiders Genesis. I also completed that. Well, I mean, stuck in quarantine land. That's all I got is time. The ending on that was abrupt. It really, really was. I don't want to give away anything. It just was abrupt. Like, I feel like the writing was perfect up until the very end. And you're right. Maybe just, having a well-written game and video game design is difficult.
Well, I don't, I played, 2 of the of the 4 Darksider games, and to me, those worlds and their stories aren't great at all. And to have an interesting ending or to write an interesting ending for those mediocre kind of story worlds is I wouldn't expect a good ending from those games.
Well, I mean, the writing was pretty decent up until the end, I would say.
But decent because there's a lot of banter and a lot of clever, funny dialogue.
Right, but you're going to get that with all Darksider games. But the banter between the two characters, the main characters, War and Strife, they're perfect. War is more like this big broody dude, and Strife is the comedic relief. And I'll have to look up who did the voice acting for Strife. He was phenomenal. He was freaking awesome.
Yeah, but that's not really the story.
No. But it definitely it flavors, it gives it flavor.
But how is the actual story? The story's just there, from what I understand. The story's there to keep you going,
right? To
let you know what you need to do next.
The entirety of Darksiders Genesis felt like a fetch quest. Where, what is it?
The MacGuffin.
What is that?
In writing, and you see this in this is gonna ruin movies and games.
Oh, don't do that. There are kids out there.
Just about every single movie plot, the focal plot point, most of them, the ones that aren't exceptional, some that are exceptional, but for different reasons, not mainly for the story. The writers will leverage this MacGuffin, and the MacGuffin could be anything. It could be the princess and it could be this secret code that unlocks the universe. Some special thing that the protagonist has to get or has to acquire in order to save the day. That's the MacGuffin.
Okay. Yeah, it's a little bit of that. Yeah, that sounds about right. Essentially, the overarching story is War and Strife are part of, or they've been tasked by the Council of Hell, really, to track down Lucifer and essentially find out what he's doing and stop him. That's basically the very basic plot.
Right. And it should end, because this is a prequel to the first Darksiders, right?
I don't know where it falls in the timeline. I'm not entirely sure.
So, from what I understand, the story should end with you starting the apocalypse.
It does not. Because, I don't know if that's the right timeline. I have no idea.
So, did the apocalypse already happen as you're playing the game, or
Maybe during. I don't want to give too much for people who haven't played it. It's kind of new, fairly new.
right? But we're like poo-pooing on its story.
Right, but I don't want I don't want to give out certain things that's happened, but
Yeah.
essentially, okay, like I said, you're trying to track down Lucifer, and you meet your cast of characters that help you in your hub world, and every different character, oh, I need this for me to help you. I need this for me to help you. And it's just like that's the entirety of the game. Is they need things to help me. And that's fetch quests.
Yeah, fetch quests suck.
They're the worst.
Yeah.
I other than
Meaningless fetch quests.
I mean, this is not a meaningless fetch quest because obviously that's what's driving the story, right? But other than fetch quests, the worst quests are the protect this person and get from point A to point B.
I like those quests.
Those are terrible.
They're not terrible.
I hate them. I hate them.
You've played some poorly implemented ones.
Here we go.
Resident Evil 4 had an exceptionally well implemented mechanic.
Yeah. What's the word for that? I don't know why it escapes me.
That's the escort missions.
Escort missions. There you go. I think, and I'll go back to Grand Theft Auto, because you got a lot of them in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
They're just they're the worst part. This is where I feel like that's where a lot of the story or narrative slows down, are in fetch quests. I mean, escort quests.
Yeah, if it's the you have to follow thing, and the camera's always focused on the thing that you have to follow. Yeah. That's bad, but that's bad execution. That's not bad. It's not a bad thing. It's just someone.
It's also done in the last time I saw it was in Breath of the Wild. And you're in the I think you're in like the Lost of the Woods or the Korok with the Koroks or something.
Sure, but you're not protecting.
No, you're kind of. It's not an escort mission, but you're right.
That's more of a stealth mission.
Yeah, but you're following the guy and you don't want to get caught. That sort of thing. I'll lump them all in the same thing. They're all terrible.
That's different though. That's stealth, and that's stealth done badly.
Yeah,
I did not like Metal Gear games because I thought they played like the stealth missions in Ocarina of Time. So I'm like, I don't like those little stealth segments in Zelda. So why would I have an entire game based on that?
I think with Metal Gear though, like it's supposed to be some sort of stealth espionage game, and you can't play the game in a stealth manner at all. It's like nearly impossible.
What, Metal Gear? Of course you can.
Metal Gear Solid was almost impossible to play that in without getting alerted or anything. Snake Eater, that was tough. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough, but that was the game. But they did it better. That's the thing, like in Zelda, right? They punished you like as soon as you got spotted.
Back to the beginning.
You get teleported back. Whereas in Metal Gear, that wasn't the end. Like
no, because you try and fight your way through it.
It wasn't game over. And that's how you do stealth missions. Now, Metal Gear is not Metal Gear Solid 1 is definitely not the best way to do stealth. To me, I think the best when Metal Gear finally got it like absolutely right to the degree of like this being very fun to play. That was Metal Gear Solid 5.
Okay, that far. That's their last hurrah.
Well, that's how long it took for stealth games to actually get good, was what they did in Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah, if you're going back to the original NES Metal Gear, that game is nearly impossible, because if you die, you go right back to the beginning of the game. But if you're talking the PS1 Metal Gear, why can't I say that word? Metal Gear Solid. That's a great game. It's just I'm telling you, there's no way you can play that game without getting spotted.
No, look.
It's impossible.
I played and beat that game.
So have I.
I agree it's a great game, but the stealth gameplay mechanics were not, like, out of this world fun.
No.
They were okay to deal with. They weren't like super. I wasn't jonesing for those segments at all. But it got really great in Metal Gear Solid 5. That's when
is that Phantom Pain? that's Phantom Pain, right?
That
Yeah.
came out this June.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll have
That's
to.
when they actually like figured out how to do it right. It's because they went with the open world aspect, and because you could manipulate things in such a way you could actually leave the level. Right, the level it's an open world, so there is no like level per se.
Right.
Things can reset. You can go to a different whatever headquarters place and infiltrate that instead.
Okay.
So
I don't know.
they did a lot of things in that.
We'll
Anyway,
have to further discuss quest types that we despise.
I have no clue how we got this far into the weeds.
But what else am I playing? Okay. Edge of Eternity. I think it is your brother that's really into this.
Yes.
I decided to pick it up, and
on
I'm sorry?
On PC, right?
On PC.
Okay.
And I'm hoping to maybe make a video about it, and with a kind of a new series, about port begging. I'm still playing through it. It's in alpha. It's really early access. There's a lot I'm noticing, because what I played at PAX and what I'm playing now feel like very different games.
Better or worse?
Worse. Now,
yeah, they were probably showing you the polished stuff.
Yeah, because I'm playing this, and there's a lot of kind of, and I have to understand that it is in alpha, which is really, really early. Some of the animations feel very, very janky and generic. Like, you'll come across a group of people and they'll all have the same animation just out of time, just to make it feel like they're different.
Yep.
It feels like it's a little laziness, but like I said, I have to understand that this is only a development team that's only 9 people deep.
Yeah.
So it is a very small studio, but where this game hits it out of the park is in the environments and the textures on like walls and grass, and it's just like, when you look at that sort of stuff, it looks really, really good. But everything else kind of needs a little work. I feel like that is so far behind that I don't know. They need something else there. And again, I understand it's an alpha, but this may be something that I will port beg for. And I have. Yeah. And I have already.
and that's why it is an alpha, early access alpha stuff, right? That's the whole reason. Like,
yeah,
those little weird quirky things that irk you, like animations and being desynchronized and stuff like that, like, and even like misspelling in dialogue or poorly written dialogue. All those things are things that are either placeholder or
right.
are going to be polished. That's like the last like 10% of game development is actually like the last half of game development, and the last 10% is your polish.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually like half of the work. Is like fixing all of those things,
those little things.
And what separates, good from great is how much time you're willing to spend polishing.
Right. And I think, like I had mentioned about the environment, the way that is so far ahead of everything else, maybe that the other stuff will catch up. And I really hope it does, because the combat feels good. Everything else flows well, so I don't know. Like I said, I'm gonna put out the video and beg for it. So, yeah. Edge of Eternity, and what were you gonna say?
No, it looks good. I watched my brother play a good chunk of it.
Yeah,
it does look.
And the way they're doing it is I think they're releasing it in chapters up until the full game, and then maybe the full game will get kind of patched over. I don't know how that's gonna work, but I don't know. I'm trying it. Another game I'm playing a little bit earlier, thanks to Zen Studios, is Dread Nautical. Dread Nautical is the same folks who have done Operencia. Dread Nautical is a tactical strategy RPG. I really only put it like maybe an hour or 2 into it. I'm hoping to do a kind of a let's play on that now that I kind of need something, because I've completed 2 games, so I gotta put something in there. So Dread Nautical may be that one. So I've been playing that a little bit. And man, did you get anything during the sale the recent sale or the kind of right now sale?
No, there wasn't really anything that I saw
Okay.
worth.
You're right. I mean, I'm on both ends of that spectrum. I picked up Child of Light, Golf Story, and which I
Severed.
severed, which
Why
is
did you?
like, why would I do that? It was cheap. It was like $3-4.
It's not cheap, man. Your time. That's what it's costing you.
I may never play it. I may never play it.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. Severed. I confused with something else. Severed could very well be a good game.
I believe it is a good game.
I
Um,
apologize.
so Child of Light, which I don't know, maybe I'll play it eventually. Golf Story. I actually put some time into Golf Story. I was really surprised by it. I don't. Have you played Golf Story?
So I have it. My girlfriend played a good chunk of it. I don't know how much.
Uh,
It looks cool. It's just not my thing.
right. Okay. Well, I'm playing it, right? And I think maybe 4 or 5 hours in, I'm like, wow, this is really, really good. And it's always been recommended by people. I'm like, whatever, Golf Story. But it's really good. It is really, really good.
It's an RPG,
And no, without a doubt, it's an RPG. But I figured I gotta play this before I play their up and coming one, Sports Story.
and there's no combat in it, right? You're just
No,
playing golf,
your combat is you versus another player playing golf. Yeah.
but you're not. It's golf, so you're not actually versing each other.
Well, you're trying to get the best score. I mean, if
Right.
that, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're always trying to get the best score against
Mm.
yourself in golf.
Right, you're always competing against. There's your combat. It's an inner conflict, Johnny. Okay, it's an inner
It's
conflict.
self conflict.
All right, relax. Okay. Severed. Crypt of the Necrodancer was also really, really cheap.
That was one I was thinking about picking up.
Now, had it been, Cadence of Hyrule, I definitely, without doubt, would have picked it up because it's a Zelda game. You want to give it a shot. But this, Crypt of the Necrodancer was again like $3, $4, $5, whatever it was. I mean, it's rated really, really well, so why not?
Well worth it.
Yeah.
Well worth that.
And then I got bottom of the barrel type of stuff. Revenge of the Bird King was under $1. A Zurin Tales Trials. I did put up a game preview of it. Let me know if it's something you like, because then I will also question your tastes in games.
I am looking at that right now, man.
Not a great game. Not a great game. And yeah, those are games that I picked up for, I think it was under $1, and basically putting up game previews for those. I guess Revenge of the Bird King rated kind of okay, but Azure and Tales, yikes, stay away.
It looks like it handles very poor.
It plays very poorly. I don't know how many times I died because I couldn't judge certain things like heights and no good. Stay away.
It's a janky looking game.
Yeah. Yep. No good. All right. So that is what has been going on with me. Moving on to the news.
Let's get some news.
All right. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, the Epilogue, is actually playable from the beginning of the game. You can actually play the Epilogue before you actually play the real game, which is kind of weird, right? So I guess they give the opportunity to a lot of players who have already played it, right?
It's not a good idea if you haven't played it. It's not a good idea to start the epilogue because the epilogue starts 1 month.
Is it 1 month?
Game.
Oh yeah.
I think that's what they said. 1 month, either 1 month or 1 year. I think it's
I thought it was 1 year.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. It is 1 year.
But yeah, why would you want to take this epic RPG, right, and kind of almost have it ruined by playing the epilogue? And like I had mentioned, this is more for people who have already played the game and they want to maybe just see what happened after, and then maybe they'll play through it. I have no idea.
All right, I just want to warn people: absolutely do not, just curiously fire up the epilogue.
Oh boy.
It will spoil something major. just from knowing what happens on the ending of Xenoblade, don't fire up the epilogue. There's no way it won't be spoiled.
Yeah. Be careful out there, guys. Stay frosty. So yeah, that is just and that wasn't it a decent size epilogue from what we saw somewhere out there
I don't know. I don't think they posted anything,
in terms
any
of length?
details.
Okay.
Yeah, about length or anything like that. It takes place on the Biome's shoulder. So
The what?
you'll find out. I mean, the opening scene of the game shows two big giant titans
Right.
battling each other, and they say one is called the Bionis and the other one's called the Mechanus. So there you go. There's
There
no
you go.
spoilers there.
You blew it. You blew it for everyone.
Yeah.
That's too bad. All right, so next we have Sunless Sea spreading onto the Switch, Xbox later this month. So it's kind of one of those games that, not shadow dropping, but Sunless Sea was on Steam for quite a while actually, and apparently did well enough for them to make a Switch port of it.
Eat
But
your crew?
eat your. I'm sorry. What? What?
I'm reading some of the stuff that they have going on over here on this trailer.
Yeah, without careful planning, you can literally eat your crew. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a top-down perspective of a ship, and you kind of make your way through the ocean, and that's kind of as far as I know. It's kind of got this Victorian-esque feel to it, maybe.
Lovecraft.
Lovecraft, yeah, there you go. So check it out. See if it's something that you like. It's do you have Steam reviews up?
I can pull up real quick.
So fast.
Is it already out on Steam?
Yeah, it has been out on Steam for I want to say like 4 or 5 years now. Been out there for a while.
This sounds like it's part of a franchise, because there is a game called Sunless Sea.
Maybe it's possibility. Yeah.
I'm curious if this is made by the same people. Let me I'm not. The developer is Fail Better Games.
Yeah.
And they did make Sunless Skies, so this
Okay.
is probably in the same light as Sunless Skies. The reviews are decent.
Okay.
So there's that. And Sunless Skies, the reviews were. I think Sunless Skies came out first. Actually, I don't know.
No, Sunless Skies was after. Because I'm looking at it right now, and
And
yes,
that one's also scored decently.
yeah. So it's a potential if it sells well on the Switch that we'll probably get Sunless Skies as well.
Yep.
All right, cool. So that is Sunless Sea coming later this month. Now, Minecraft Dungeons has a webpage where they have a FAQ, and in that FAQ, it lets you know that we cannot play with random players. You can't play with people that are on your friends list, and maybe potentially some cross-playing, which I don't know how that will work if they're not on your friends list, but you won't be able to play with random people. Now, for me, that's actually pretty good. I don't like playing with a lot of strangers to begin with. I'm very weird when it comes to playing with strangers. But in my situation, my kids are going to be playing this either with me or with, they'll be playing kind of local couch co-op sort of stuff. So I don't want them playing with strangers, and that might be why they're doing that as well. Because this is, again, it's probably geared more towards a younger audience. So maybe that's kind of them protecting themselves. I don't know. Thoughts?
None.
Reading? You're not interested in Minecraft Dungeons at all?
No, I just don't think it's the kind of game. Look, it's Minecraft, so it's geared towards a younger audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
And stranger danger is a concern. So them not implementing that type of stranger danger feature,
right,
is perfectly reasonable to me.
Yep.
So, and these style games, like you play them.
You play
can
them
play
what?
them. You can play them solo. You can play them
Yep.
with friends.
Yep.
You can still play it with friends, so they're not getting that way, limiting your opportunity to play with strangers. So
Yeah, and I like that feature again in my situation. So yeah. Moving on, Trials of Mana interview with Shinichi Tsuke.
yeah,
Um,
it's a
about
big interview.
it is a very lengthy interview that it's probably been picked up by many outlets out there, but I'm looking at it at Jamatsu, and there's so many things that are discussed here. But some of the things they mainly focus on some of the remake changes. What was obviously what they included and what they didn't include. One of which is a big deal for you for whatever reason is co-op removal, and clear time. More for you is the co-op removal.
Oh, and the clear time. I mean, they list the clear time here being between 25 and 30 hours. So
Yeah.
that's pretty good. I mean, to me, that's great because
Yep.
yeah, let's not pad out our games. Let's make them denser, not sparser and padded.
Right. And the co-op removal,
That is a problem.
that is a problem for
Yeah.
you.
They couldn't figure out the online part of it. I agree. It is a challenge when you want to do a third action game, right? So this
Right.
is the decision that they made way early on. However, given that they attached the camera to a character, doesn't mean that they couldn't co-op. They would have to do it. It just means that they have to do it through online, and they couldn't think their way into doing online. And what that actually means is they didn't a feature that would be in such high demand they would be willing to go through the development time and expense to implement it, because it's not a trivial thing to implement, especially when you have to rethink it in a fairly significant way, of doing an RPG based co-op multiplayer. That's not a trivial thing to implement. Like, who owns the character, right?
Right.
Are you both leveraging your own save files? Is this a save file, or is this one player owns the save file? There's a lot of concerns about that and a lot of problems that arise. So
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, just making a single player experience is simple. A lot more
yeah,
simple anyway.
it's easy route, and the rest of the game looks like super good quality. I love the artwork for it. It looks beautiful.
Is this something that you'll be getting?
I'm still gonna wait for the reviews to make sure that the game is reviewed as well as it looks, because it looks awesome. Like, I love the characters. They look pretty much perfect for what I would imagine a Secret of Mana character to look in 3D.
What they should have looked like, right? Or at
Yeah,
least in the Secret of Mana remake that they just recently put out.
it looks good. It looks crisp,
Did you
very
play?
crisp.
Did you try the demo?
Um, I downloaded it. I think
You would know if you played it.
I definitely didn't play it.
Play the demo. It'll give you a really good, you know, you. It's free. It is free. You don't have to pay for it, and it'll give you a good idea as to what you're getting into. I think.
It's not free, man. It takes up my time.
Oh, jeez.
Well, look, there's a whole lot of games in this world that are free. There's a huge amount of games. In fact, there's more games in this world than there are premium games,
Uh-huh.
and they're still not free, right? They cost time.
No, this is. I think. Is it? It's only a few hours. It's nothing. Earth shattering like the Dragon Quest 11 demo, which could be somewhere up to 15 hours. It's nothing that intensive. This is really just up to the first relatively small boss, I think.
I'm in no rush. The game
Okay.
comes out next week. The reviews will come out next week. I'll just wait for the reviews, and rather than already replay 1 to 2 hours of stuff that's in the demo, I'll
The
just,
the
if I do get it, I'll experience it all.
the
Right?
demo carries over any saves. So
Oh, it does.
it does.
Well,
It's the same thing they did with I think they did it with Octopath. This
When
is
you say it like that.
they did it with Octopath and Dragon Quest. So yeah, your saves carry over. Anyway, hopefully I convinced you of that. I'm getting it day one without a doubt.
Yep.
Without a doubt. All right. The Witcher 3 on Nintendo Switch sold. This thing is just keeps selling. Holy cow. Like how they're not they can't even sell enough Switches. They're selling like more of the Witcher than they are the Switch itself. Sold 700,000 units in the last 3 months. People are home, right? They need something to do. What better to occupy your time with than playing The Witcher? I couldn't think of anything better.
Yeah, that is excellent numbers. If you ever do the math to figure out, how much money they actually made versus the development time and all that, that is profit. They have certainly burst through the break-even barrier and are now clearly in the profit territory, and that means they are not going to second guess, or they're not going to sort of shrug off whether the Switch has an audience for them, like EA does, right? EA always excuse of that audience, that Nintendo audience, don't like our style of games, right?
Right.
This is gonna, at the very least, signal to CD Projekt Red, like, yeah, we have fans that exist on the Switch and are willing to play our game on the Switch.
The only issue is, unless they come up with some sort of minority other development team, their games, for example, Cyberpunk 2077, I don't see that running on the Switch. But
they are PC developers, man.
Right, but they do have other titles as well. They have Witcher 1, 2, and 3. They have Thronebreaker, which is a kind of a card-based RPG. But they need those smaller games in order.
Those are probably going to show up. I would actually not write off the possibility of seeing Cyberpunk on Switch at all.
Really?
Yeah, I think it is actually. They might, and because they are PC developers first and foremost, right? Scalability is what PC is all about, and in PC developed games, right? You can toggle, turn off, lower the resolution, lower the texture resolution.
Because everyone has a different PC, and you kind of have to build for that.
Yeah, you got to accommodate for. You kind of have to figure out what your lowest common factor
Denominator,
whatever the term is, but
math.
You sort of set that as your baseline minimum, your minimum spec machine. And as long as they set that minimum spec machine low enough to also fit within the Switch realm, then it is going to be very feasible. The only major bottleneck that I see here that is potentially here with Switch development is the memory. And because the Switch only allows for, I think, like 4 or 3 gigs
4
of memory.
I think
it has 4, and I think 1 is reserved for the OS.
Oh, I thought it was all. I thought,
no.
Yeah. You're probably right.
Yeah. So it's either 3 or 3, maybe 3.5. So that's not a lot. That is not a lot at all. So that is the ultimate like make or break for most games. Now they can still get around that, but then that requires an additional overhead in development in order to figure out clever solutions to get around that memory limit. But that memory is the system memory, not the storage memory. That is the biggest deciding factor when it comes to like whether or not a game can run on a system. When it comes to like the GPU and that kind of performance, that's less of a concern because they can always just down res the resolution. They can make it run 720 or 480. Like they can make it run really, really low resolution if the GPU are a major bottleneck. But the memory, that if it runs out of memory, it crashes. That's a hard no.
Right. And that is what Larian Studios was dealing with when they were developing for the Switch with Divinity Original Sin. I had watched one of their developer interview type of thing, and they would get to a certain point, the game would crash, they fix some stuff, they'd get past that point, then they get to another point, the game would crash, they'd fix that. So that's how they were doing it, and it sounds like that's the way anybody would do it. But again, it was kind of interesting to see that insight, in terms of getting mostly, for the most part, it's a PC oriented game to work the way they did it.
Yeah, and yeah, if with PCs, you have the luxury of actually having a potentially significantly higher cap to what your game can run on, because PCs obviously have way more memory available to consoles.
Right.
So, you want to make sure you hit that minimum. You maintain that minimum. So it's as long as CD Projekt Red has that minimum set low enough. So when the PC version of this game hits on Steam or whatever, and it lists the minimum specs required, that's going to be important to pay attention to, because that will tell you whether or not Cyberpunk will be available, will be potentially ported, or there's a possibility of it being ported to the Switch.
Right.
That's the big deciding factor. Actually, right now, I'm actually going to look at Cyberpunk and just see if there is a minimum spec being listed right now.
Guys, we're doing some investigative work here. This is
a little bit of investigation.
This is some criminal justice type stuff here. We're working the scene.
So unfortunately, I don't see any minimum.
They don't have any specs. No spec requirements.
It's still in development, so I wouldn't have guessed there would be spec.
It's a cold case, guys. It's a cold case. We're quitting. All right, so moving on. Fairy Tail is coming. Now, we've talked about Fairy Tail not too long ago, but it was something definitely on our radars. I guess we have a final date. I thought we already had one, but I guess we didn't. It's coming June 26th. This year on the PC and PS4, and again on the Switch. So there's a lot of information coming out now. It seems like they're doing some sort of big PR push right now about guest characters and different magical abilities, things of that nature. Now, what's interesting to me is I know that this game, we talked about this before I hit record here, about anime, and I talked about me potentially watching Fairy Tail as kind of a precursor to almost like studying up a little bit. And the first season is 30-something episodes. What do you think I am? I can't watch 30-something episodes. It's incredible. So, I don't know. There may be a small chance. If I watch the first few episodes and they're good, I'll continue on. But if they're bad, I might just skip this game altogether. Who knows? But it is coming June 26th. And I don't know. I love the look of this game. I know Jonny seems to think that anything with an anime-esque skin profile or whatever.
No,
listen. Jonny thinks that whatever anime-esque game, he thinks I'm going to automatically like it. It's not true. That hurts my feelings when you think that way. Okay?
Well,
it's not true.
It's oh, sorry about that.
Oh, jeez. We talked about this.
I know. There, I got it on the thing. It's not that. It's just it kind of pulls the wool the
wool of the eyes, the veil.
Yeah,
the woolen veil. It's really itchy.
Term, it pulls the sheep's wool over the eyes, clothing thing.
I think you're close. Keep going.
I am so lost on it, but you know what I'm saying.
I know. Yep. I know exactly what you're trying to say.
It hides the poor executionness better than other arts.
So because it's a simpler design to develop, I guess, and there's no texture. It's basically just shading, right? So.
Well, it depends, but yeah.
Yeah, it does depend, but right. Anyway, so Fairy Tail, June 26th. Look out for it. Some
I
what?
did find some specs. I don't think these are the minimum specs.
The case is open.
It's back up. And from what I see, oh man, this is definitely well beyond capable
Not
of.
coming to the Switch.
So it's right off rip the CPU iCore 5 or Core i5, 3.5 gigahertz. That is like triple the amount of what the Switch CPU is capable of. But that's also like double, almost, maybe not double, but that is like still like 50% or more higher than what current gen consoles are capable of. So that's a grain of salt type of thing. There's also the GTX 1060, which is a 6 gig graphics card as a potential baseline minimum. I don't know if this is the baseline. This is also running at more than 40 frames per second, 1080. Obviously, for Switch, we're going way less than
We're
that.
going 900 at 30.
Well, I'm hoping 720 at 30.
I
That's what
would.
I would.
I guess I would take that. I'm probably not going to play this game anytime soon on the Switch. It'll
And
it'll be, my PC wouldn't be able to handle that, so my Xbox will finally have to be turned on to play Cyberpunk.
and the big kicker, system memory, 8 gigs. But keep in mind that's running in operation PC,
Yeah,
Windows, and stuff like that. So if you kind of split the two, we're talking probably a minimum. If the Switch was able to get up to 6 gigs of memory as like some sort of Switch Pro release, then yeah, based on what I see here, it's
right.
still possible.
I mean,
But
and speaking of a Switch Pro, we kind of had some maybe insight as to what Nintendo is doing. We did have a recent firmware update to version 10.0, which added a lot of major accessibility feature, button remapping. I think that's.
excellent.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, excellent. That's
Yeah.
a good one.
So yeah, it's. I mean, it doesn't bring in a lot of the features that people are still asking for, like themes and folders. Heck, I just want to be able to use like some of these pictures that I'm capturing and put them as a backdrop. I don't even care about themes. I just want to use a different background, but we're not even getting that. So basically, we're getting all like any button you can think of is being you can remap it, which is really kind of very very good for accessibility. And
Yeah, and the analog stick.
right, yeah, yeah.
That's a good one.
Yep.
Joy-Con drift. Sayonara.
Well, maybe.
I'll I'll just not be able to move the character.
I don't know if I had mentioned it in on the podcast at all, but I did send in my Joy-Con to be repaired.
You mentioned it.
I did mention that. Okay, yeah, and they still
Oh,
have it.
I don't know if you mentioned it on the podcast.
Well, either way, I did send it in before this whole COVID-19 thing happened. I had sent in my one of my Joy-Cons for repair because it was drifting, and that was months ago. I have yet to get it back because they've shut down everything. So I'm playing another Joy-Con that also doesn't work because I have the Mario Red ones that I got with the Mario Switch, and they don't even work at all. So I have no left Joy-Con.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with this update is the SD card.
The
Uh,
yes,
yeah,
okay.
being able to transfer your saves from the internal storage to the SD card and vice versa. That is phenomenal.
Yep. So that was another kind of lesser. I think it was more lesser talked about. But another, and we got some Animal Crossing icons. Who the heck cares? And one of the other things that people were seeing, they dove into. Where is it? I lost it. Do you
It's
have
not
it?
in this.
No. I have another article there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I had it up and I lost it. All right. So firmware 10.0 adds preliminary support for a new hardware model. Okay, and they're calling it's in quotes NX-ABCD. So very, very generic. 3 of the 5 new DRAM profiles are for this hardware type, and there's evidence of a secondary display of sorts being added exclusively for this model. What does that
Very
even
odd.
mean?
Secondary display. I don't know. Maybe you know what? Okay. And this is a good thing.
I have some thoughts as well, but I'll go ahead.
Think of so Nintendo has been going crazy with add-ons for the Switch, right? They did
Cardboard.
the cardboard. They did the ring thing, right?
Yep, ring thing.
And now
RPG.
now they add in, if you can imagine, the Joy-Cons being able to slap onto. So if they just ship a display,
Mm-hmm.
right, with the touchscreen, so, and then your Joy-Cons can slide into it, so it kind of looks like a Switch, but it's not a Switch. Now that acts as a second screen for kind of like the Wii U.
Right. That's exactly
So,
what I was thinking.
yep. So now that gives them the opportunity to port more Wii U games over, and more importantly, opens up the DS, 3DS market.
It definitely it'll open up that market. We'll finally be able to get Xenoblade Chronicles X. It'll be a whole new expansive world.
A whole new.
Oh, sing it, brother. Sing it.
Nope.
But yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. So this kind of like almost like a dummy terminal type of thing that you can attach your Joy-Cons to, and you essentially have kind of like your Wii U setup.
Yep, and because the Joy Cons themselves uh, can power, just like how they can share power with the Switch.
Yep.
They can power the display, this dummy display. So this dummy's display could be exceptionally dummy-esque, right? Very low powered device,
Right.
and run off the Joy-Con battery.
Wow. That would have to be a pretty like the power consumption would have to be very, very low.
Right. Right.
Very,
Yeah.
very low.
Yep. That, well, if it's not running any, it's
Yeah,
gonna
just
have
a
a very
display.
basic CPU, right?
Just the display.
Just a display. It's gonna have some whatever that special Bluetooth, not Bluetooth thing that the Wii U did.
Right.
To communicate, right? It's all low powered stuff though. Low
So
powered.
this would basically just be a docked mode thing, right? Unless this opens up the market for this giant for people who like go on Patreon and just develop all these things, these handheld things. So this would be like a giant 3DS if you had it handheld.
Well, here's another thing that this could be potentially clamshell design.
Oh geez, no.
So you have the Switch, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then you have like this clip-on display,
Uh-huh.
and it folds, and now you don't see any display. You can't scratch your screen, and then you can open it, and now you have two screens, right? And it can
Right.
just latch on to the bottom.
Okay.
And now you have a 3DS Switch, or a Switch DS.
A Switch DS. That's what
Switch DS.
we've named it for them too.
Yeah.
You're
This is the
welcome,
Switch Pro.
Nintendo.
It's the Switch Pros, the Switch DS.
Oh no. I hope that's I would love for that to happen, to open up the market for for a lot of the 3DS titles that are out there. Less for the Wii U titles, but again, more for the giant library of games for the DS and whatnot. It'd be a lot easier for those people without having to redevelop their whole game. It'd be a lot easier for them to port over.
But that won't happen. Why? Because it would make the Switch too heavy. That's why it wouldn't happen.
For handheld use, yeah.
Exactly. Way too heavy.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Crush people's dreams. All right, moving on. Gamescom 2020 canceled due to the outbreak of which we're all kind of dealing with here. Now, in saying that, they've also planned for a digital event. A little more planning went into what Gamescom is doing. I don't know if they have the more of an advantage of the, I guess, the foresight of this all. Whereas I think E3 could have and should have done something similar to this, where they have a exclusive kind of digital event.
I
and it's there. It was there for the taking for them, and they kind of missed out on that.
Well, they also are coming in at a better time. August,
Yeah.
like
Yep.
there's no one's gonna have the flu in August. So,
Hopefully.
well, very unlucky people, very
Yeah.
few unlucky people. The flu in August. The
Right.
majority of the world will be, good solar powered, immune system combating strength,
Uh huh.
or at least on the northern hemisphere.
Hopefully. So let's see here. Like I had mentioned, they canceled. We are, however, already working at full speed on a digital Gamescom. It is, after all, the world's biggest event for games, and that's what should be, and that's what it should be again this year. So again, they are planning for it, and man, yeah, I wish E3 would have done something similar to this, but they didn't. And again, yeah, it is one of the bigger events for video gaming.
Yep.
All right, moving on to the kind of the last bit of news here. Some Bravely Default news. Tomoya Asana apologized for Bravely Second End Layer on the Nintendo 3DS. Now, I don't know why. This definitely has to be a cultural thing where you have these Japanese developers really come out and just, oh, we're sorry we didn't meet your expectations. Yeah, they can be sorry. Yeah, we didn't meet a lot of some people's expectations are like Jonny expectations. You know what I mean? Like through the roof. and some have the bar set so low you could roll over them. Geo expectations. But yeah, it has to be because I see it a lot with a lot of the Japanese developers is that they apologize for not living up to expectations. You know what? This is their artwork. They did it the way they wanted to. People, just deal with it. That's kind of my thought.
Oh, the phone. You complained about
What I complain about?
you said Bravely Second wasn't as good as Bravely
Right.
to a certain degree.
No, right, and it was not as good as Bravely Default.
All right,
There's nothing wrong with that. He doesn't have to
apology for that.
He doesn't have to apologize for anything.
But he felt like he needed to, and to apologize to fans. And look, this is marketing, right? This apology is specifically for convincing fans that got a sour taste in their mouth playing Bravely Second, in order to say, hey, we recognize that Bravely Second was inferior to Bravely Default, which is why we're going to make it up to you in Bravely Default 2.
Right. Yeah,
so
that's
just a marketing ploy.
Sure thing. It's just,
but they're recognizing that Bravely Second is inferior, and by recognizing that and making fans aware that they recognize it, kind of gives the hope that they're going to do better and do right with, as they kind of said, with Bravely Default 2.
Right. But you didn't see stuff like this coming out of, for example, with Mass Effect Andromeda, right? And BioWare, an American, well, for the most part, an American developer. You didn't see them coming out and really apologizing for that game.
They did apologize. Are you kidding me? They apologized like crazy for Mass Effect 2. They apologized, and Andromeda, they definitely apologized.
And it's did they apologize? Here we go. CSI Geo on the case here. Mass Effect Andromeda. I don't see it. It's not here. Didn't happen.
BioWare apologizes for Mass Effect Andromeda's Hanley Abrams character.
Can you see my screen? Son of a, he found it.
It's the first thing that pops up on Google. Are you kidding me?
No, it is. But again, they're apologizing there for a character. Oh, wow.
There's an IGN article. They apologize for how it handled Mass Effect. Andromeda's another character thing. Yeah. I'm trying to find specifically on just the inferior map.
But there wasn't. Here's the thing: Mass Effect Andromeda was freaking awful. Okay, and it was just so bad that they almost had to come out and apologize for it. I didn't see that with Bravely Second, and yeah, maybe it's because Bravely Second isn't as big as Mass Effect. Maybe that's the thing, and the expectations maybe they're different, set at different levels. But I didn't really hear about the crying out of Bravely Second. Yeah, it's not as good as Bravely Default, but I mean, it's not terrible like Mass Effect Andromeda is. Mass Effect Andromeda is probably one of the worst games I've played recently. Oh, well, I just shouldn't say that. It's definitely of the Mass Effects, it's definitely the worst one. The way Mass Effect 2 ended was terrible. And
I wouldn't say it's terrible.
well, they tried to fix it a little bit. Or was that Mass Effect 3? I'm sorry. Am I getting them
3 is the
confused?
bad ending. Yeah.
That's the one. I'm sorry. Yeah, the bad ending is in 3. That's what I was thinking of.
2 was fine.
All right. Well, I don't
2 is
know.
fine. Not as good as 1, but 2
Nope.
is like a great
Yeah,
game.
no, 2 is fine. I was just confusing the endings with 2 and 3.
I don't know how you could confuse the two. Like 3 was just a bad ending.
It's just
There
bad.
was one really good ending, like the true ending. It was in there, but it was not meant for people like you and I. It was meant for other people in this world that played a very specific way and aligned with what the basically they did not make true endings for all the different playstyles. They made one true ending for one particular playstyle and set of decisions that you made. And if you did not make all of those decisions that were required to line up with a true ending, then you don't get it.
Okay.
So I'm sorry. And
you don't need
you
to
have to
apologize.
you had to like be with certain characters in order to do that. It's like it was like the I don't know, the target demographic was the true ending.
Right.
And by target demographic, it'll take a bit to explain what that target demographic is. I still don't want to know. I still don't know. Like I thought I was in that target demographic, being PG fan, space fan.
Nope.
And yeah, just want to know on that.
All right, and again, along with the Bravely Default, the producer already has, and I think this might even be the same interview. They already have ideas for Bravely Third.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow. I mean, how about you come out with Bravely Default 2 and then figure out Bravely Third after the fact? But they're already working. They're a step ahead of the game, and when they're working on it, I'm sure they're just spitballing ideas. But
well, yeah. I mean, there's always ideas when you're working on any project.
Yeah.
You're always going to have ideas, and these are ideas that you are thinking of in the middle of working on the project, and you have to squash. They're good ideas,
right,
but you're squashing them because it's not going to fit. It's just
right.
it's out of scope of the project, but they don't want to let it go, so they put it into the future project space.
Right. Sorry, that might not work for this project.
Yeah.
Let's put it on the back burner for something else.
This is how expansions and DLC are made.
Sure.
Right? It's all those extra ideas that are actually really good. They're just they came in a little bit too late in development, and you got to move to a different project, to a sequel, to a DLC, whatever.
Right. All right. So moving on to listener questions, we have none. You could email us at podcast@switchrpg.com. Actually, I'm lying. Yeah, I'm lying. Okay, I'm lying. I have been getting emails from podcast@switchrpg.com, but they're spam. So they immediately get tossed and reported as such.
Are you getting the Ray-Ban glass spam?
No, it's basically we are a writing company and we will pay you $100 if you let us write for you or something to that effect. You know, like no, just go away. I don't want your money. Oh, I do, but I don't want your money. Okay. All right. So yeah, give us some listener questions. We need them. We want them.
Yes, please.
Upcoming RPGs, Legends of Amberland. I think I discussed that at some point. Maybe in a couple episodes ago. Legends of Amberland is a first-person dungeon crawler, similar to what I'm playing as in as Operencia or a lot of the older title Wizardry. It's a bit graphic first-person dungeon crawler. It's actually really, from what I've played, because I do have it, it's very there's a lot of items, a lot of if you're into min-maxing and especially first-person dungeon crawlers, you're gonna like this. The music was kind of cool. The bit graphics for me, again, it's always hit or miss with me. It's
best.
Yeah, it's a very basic bit graphic kind of pixel design.
It's not good pixel art, and there's also a disparity between the overlay that's on the screen, the characters that you see in the world, sprites, and how blown up they are. There's like 8-bit there. There's 16-bit on the character portraits. There's like early PC style graphics on the overlay interface.
Yeah.
So it's kind of and even like some of the icons, right? Like the chicken and apple I'm seeing right now, that is closer to 16-bit, not 8-bit style.
Yeah,
graphics.
so I don't know if that was a design choice, but they are mixing their bit graphics. I would say aesthetically, it's kind of a little bit of a miss, but there are a lot of items in this game. If you're into that min-maxing, this is definitely something you're gonna like. It's just if you can get over the look of it.
Yeah, and the look ain't bad. It's just you can kind of tell it's not like a big budget game.
Oh, no, and that is fine. It just has to be in your kind of thing, you know.
7 party members though. That has me excited.
You can create every single one of them if you want.
Yep.
Or you can kind of random generate them.
By the way, I have another. Just watching this gameplay video of this game, I have another show topic that we can discuss, and that is percentages and how much I despise percentages.
Hang on, I'm gonna put this in our. We have a little document here, kind of behind the scene.
Like you get some meaningless percentage increase or decrease in damage. Like those types of bonuses are just bad.
I think what we may end up calling that is just Jonny hates.
It's not hates.
What?
It's just
It is. It's Jonny hates.
In video games, it's way more forgivable. You can kind of forgive that sort of stuff, but outside of video games, because as long as the video game takes care of that matter, but it's not interesting or meaningful.
Well, you got to remember, a lot of RPGs are based on tabletop, and the tabletop does have percentages. It's basically, in its entirety, is math. So
it's wrong.
It's not wrong. It's all math. Wrong. It's all math.
It's bad math that look. It's fine to have, but there's ways to do it better and more exciting and fun to the player. And we could talk about this as a main topic elsewhere.
All right. We will do it elsewhere. Fine. Catch us on the next episode where we discuss percentages. Right. Sunless Sea, April. We talked about it. April 23rd. April 24th is Naruto Shippuden.
Yep.
This is a fighting RPG. I don't know what Naruto is. I do, but I don't. I've never watched it. You may know a little bit more about this. I have no idea. But it's a fighting game RPG.
It's got Boruto in the title, so I'm already out.
Okay.
No one likes Boruto.
Oh, no one. Okay. I have no idea. You could have made that up. I have no idea what a Boruto is.
It's Naruto's son.
Oh, I just thought it was some Mexican food or something. And then April 24th, Trials of Mana. Never heard of it.
Can't wait. 1 week away.
Dude, play the demo. Play the demo.
I'll just wait for the reviews.
Oh, geez. Just play the stupid demo. All right. And again, don't forget to check out the episode previous to this, episode 60. Not 65, 66? Who wrote 65 here? Are you messing with me?
I did not write that.
Episode 66, where we discuss unique game mechanics we'd like to see in some RPGs. It was a good one.
Yeah.
Now, do you have anything else? Do you have anything else?
So I came out with 2 new topics. So there's the percentage one, and what was the one I mentioned?
Today?
Yeah, while we were talking, I had like 2 good ideas for show topic.
I don't know. You have to start taking care of yourself, writing these things down. You know,
And
you're an adult too, Johnny. Okay,
it'll come back.
you're an adult.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Do you have anything to say?
Nope. I got nothing. No, but seriously, check out our other topics. We're gonna be trying to do that where we keep one episode really newsy, and give you guys our opinions on those news topics, and then basically where we have comes some sort of a main topic discussion. So that's what we'll try to do. Tell us how you like it. But yeah, that is gonna wrap up today's episode of the Switch RPG podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Remember, you can listen to the show each and every week at switchrpg.com, or you can subscribe on whatever your listening ear holes listen to. If you listen on an app, please give us a rating and review. We want to climb up those charts, so your support. You are so distracting! And finally, remember, you can head over to switchrpg.com.
I just realized something. It might be a travesty for a RPG based podcast, aficionados that we are. We went this entire thing without mentioning Final Fantasy VII Remake at all.
Final Fantasy VII Remake, because I have. Here's the thing. Number one, Final Fantasy VII is probably one of my least favorite Final Fantasies after 8. And even saying that, I have zero interest in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Probably my more favorite Final Fantasies are 9, 10, and 6 in that order. Thank you. Come again.
And I think you're just saying this because you don't have access to a PS4.
Shut up. I'm gonna talk to you. No, I honestly I have no interest in Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Really?
I know
None.
that none. I have absolutely none. I don't care. I really don't care. I know that when we were looking for news for this episode, everything is just smothered in Final Fantasy VII Remake. I know that there are tons of people who absolutely love Final Fantasy VII. I don't hold that against them. I think the original game looked so ugly to me, even back then.
Oh, I agree.
It looked so ugly, and it was just, I didn't like the controls. Maybe the story was good, but I just couldn't play it enough to even, I don't know. I just didn't like it. So
I'm with you. It's an ugly looking game,
Mhm.
and I never played 7, so if I don't end up picking up Trials of Mana, I am going to be next time we talk, I'll probably be talking about. That'll probably be in my games I'm playing, and that's probably gonna hold me over until Blade.
Are you gonna dip into Xenoblade again?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I don't know how much I'm gonna dip in, but I'm dipping in again, man. That game is. I will beat it a 3rd time.
All right.
Potentially.
And I'm sorry, with my list of Final Fantasy games, so again I listed 9, 10, and 6. Add on the Zodiac edition of Final Fantasy 12. I think just that expansion, or that kind of upgrade, I'll call it, really made that game better.
I would say that there is no great Final Fantasy game, but I also haven't played most of them.
Okay.
I've played a decent number, but not most of them.
And I'm not talking like the spin-offs. Like, I know a lot of people, or some people, like the tactics games, the Crystal Bear games. Those are more spin-off titles. I'm talking kind of mainline games.
Yeah, I barely played the first Tactics. I have the Tactics Advance 2, and that was not good. It wasn't bad. It was just very mediocre, and it
Okay.
was inferior to the Tactics Ogre game that came out after. Are we still like recording?
Yeah. I'm trying to land the plane here, is what I'm trying to do.
Land the plane. Let's land it.
But then we went into like Final Fantasy land.
Well, I was trying to like make a joke about how I compile a list of like bad Final Fantasy games, and then that list would be like almost all of them.
Well, not all of them, but you know.
9 is awesome.
I love 9. Yeah,
9 is really good.
All right, that's going to end today's episode for real this time. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.